All right, let's do it live from the CCMC. Merely Beau, the Great Z. What are we doing today on the show? I mean, basically, we just need this day to go away.
Just
get to the long weekend. Am I wrong?
Just get it
Am
going.
I wrong, Walter?
Get us to next week. Get us to next week.
We just got to get there. I mean, that's where we're at. We had you have this camp. You have this cut down, which was there was a lot of intrigue on that. You have a practice squad. And I know we got a couple of guys that we added here in the last couple of minutes. We'll get you the news on that. But for this team's in this is the NFL, by the way. This is not unique to you and I. This is the NFL. It's practice today, and then get out of town, right? And we'll see you on Monday. That's where we're at, right?
Yeah, and a departure from years past where the final preseason game would be being played tonight.
Yeah.
And then teams would usually practice Friday, Saturday, Sunday, have Monday off, and then get into or practice Saturday, Sunday, Monday, have Tuesday off, and get right in their normal week schedule. You don't have that this year. The final preseason game happened last Sunday. They were able to practice all week, and, yeah, they are off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They'll be back. Practice resumes on Monday, and then it's full speed ahead. Now, the good news about today is that this is the last Thursday of the year 2021 in which we will not have NFL action, real football.
Well, the real good news is you have a big-time college game tonight.
Oh, that's right.
Buckeyes in Minnesota
S woke up at 2:30 in the morning. He couldn't even sleep.
S texted me. He texted me, "I'm nervous, buddy." I said, "Well, I'm in the middle of doing 3 hours that will take the nerves away. So start from scratch, have a listen, and you'll be settled down by the time you're done. Just you're going to be fine. You're safe, pal.
I think he's just
nothing
itching
to worry
to talk
about
to
for the
you.
mighty Buckeyes.
He's frothing to talk to you personally, one-on-one, to get that one-on-one interaction. But you won't answer his calls.
We have to. It's no, I don't know that that's it. I'm at football practice. I was at football practice at the time. I'm a busy man.
Yeah,
I'm a busy man.
You're
so
not
it's
a
hard
man
to
of
track
leisure.
me down.
That's right. It is.
No. What, you think I'm just out here making transformative turkeys left and right with all the time in the world? No, I'm not.
I can't wait for the day that you do.
That's
I'm looking forward to it.
When it happens.
Yeah.
One of the great moments in the history of this show is you saying what everybody thinks, and that is, turkey. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, you're not running it back. You made a great point. You're not running it back the rest of the year. You're not dying to have it every month like you would a steak or almost any other form of meat and protein that you'd run back. You have it once a year. That's it. That's it. It is what it is. All right, let's get to the news of the day, buddy. We do have a couple of new additions. We did have a practice this morning. We actually had 2 practices since we last did a show. So we'll get you an update on who was there and who was not. But in terms of practice squad additions, where are we with that?
Yeah, the Browns made 2 additions to the practice squad today, which I believe gets the Browns to 13 out of 16 members on the practice squad, as they were able to add in today a guard and a defensive back. The defensive back being a guy who was with our own defensive coordinator, Joe Woods, when they were together in San Francisco. That's Tim Harris, who was drafted in the 6th round in 2019 by the 49ers out of Virginia. He spent the last 2 seasons with the 49ers. His first, of course, Joe Woods was the DB coach there, so obviously studied his tape, knows him well, and he spent the entire 2019 season on injured reserve, 2020 on the Niners practice squad before appearing in 2 games. And they also added guard David Moore. As we mentioned, they'd be adding somebody on the offensive line, probably another offensive lineman, another DB, and maybe a kicker for the final 3 spots. Could be how it goes. Yeah. Moore, 6'2", 320-pound undrafted rookie that signed with the Carolina Panthers out of Grambling State. Redshirted in 2016, played in 9 games in 2017, started 15 games at left guard for the Tigers in 2018 and 19 before the 2020 season was canceled due to COVID. He was awarded the Senior Bowl's top offensive lineman on the American team, a native of Little Rock, Arkansas.
All right, there you go. So 3 spots left on as you get to 16, and those will happen when they happen. But you're talking about the last 3 spots in the practice squad. I think the only thing you assume a kicker's one of them, but who knows? Maybe not. Maybe there's all the confidence in the world.
Right, and I think that the Browns will be continuing their quest to get that position to a point where they feel very comfortable with it. Does that mean there will be a change before week 1? I don't know. But I could see them rolling with Chase McLaughlin. They liked what he did. I think it's just that one kick gives you a little bit of pause, and my guess is
the last one, right?
Of course, it's the last one. That's what's if it was the first kick and then he made everything from there, you would feel a lot better about it. But it was that last one, and boy, you would have liked to see that go right down the middle of right down Broadway. I do think they'll work kickers out. I think that they will continue to look for somebody, either practice squad or a veteran, to come in and be here, and we'll see how it goes. But I think that's the one position. If you're saying what's the one thing that's up in the air between now and Kansas City, that's it.
That's it. That's the list. That's the way it goes. In terms of, since we last did a show, 2 practices have taken place, including one today that wrapped up within the hour. So this is one that, and this is noteworthy because of who was there and who participated. And so that was Grant Delpit, and that was Sione Takitaki, and that was Greedy Williams. They all returned to practice today. Still no Treader, Dunn, or Hill, and Hollywood excused for the 3rd straight day as well. But when I see anything that says returned and Delpit, yep,
I like it.
Let's go. Let's get back out there.
Yeah, sign me up for that. And yeah, he was out there. We got to see him running around, looked good, as did Greedy Williams and Sione Takitaki. So it was great to see those 3 guys out there. J.C. Treader is 100% on track to start week 1. There's no concern about that internally. Michael Dunn, not sure there, but I think the fact that Jacob Phillips was placed on injured reserve yesterday and that he was not kind of hints to, as we saw a shift there, that maybe he's a little bit further along than originally we thought. I don't know what's going on with Troy Hill, but he's been out for a little bit of a while now. Prior to the Atlanta game is when we didn't see Troy Hill, and so hopefully we'll get some clarity on that. But, Kevin Stefanski, I believe, is optimistic that the principal players will be ready to go for that game against the Chiefs, and Hill's a big part of what you're going to do against a team that's going to put the ball in the air a lot.
Well, yeah, you'd want all 4 of those guys out there going. The top 4 is as you kind of dreamed them to be, and so you haven't had – have we had a practice in training camp where all 4 were a go? There must have been one, but there haven't been many.
Yeah, definitely early on.
Very early, yeah.
Yeah, and then you had, Denzel missed his little portion. Greedy didn't miss a portion until much later against the Giants game. That's when he suffered his little injury. But he's back, and then Troy Hill's been more after that, more recently, but when Denzel returned. So we've had – the good news is Greg Newsome's been a constant, and for the rookie, that's what you wanted. You wanted him to get every rep possible, and he's done that and probably gotten even more reps because of some of the injuries around him.
Yeah, certainly so. Yesterday, to the surprise of no one, Jacob Phillips moved to the IR. The team re-signs defensive end Joe Jackson up to active. Important to remember that any player going on IR at this point in the season with a major injury is allowed to return after missing only 3 games. Teams may return an unlimited number of players from injured reserves throughout the year. You will notice, though, that there is only 1 move to IR. We initially thought that there would be 2. There is not. It's just Jacob Phillips.
Yeah, no, just Jacob Phillips there, and then you bring in Joe Jackson. And so Joe Jackson clearly made the impression of the 4 defensive ends that were here competing for that 4th spot. And he's a different body. He's 280 pounds. So when you have, Jadeveon Clowney and Miles, and then you have Tack McKinley, who's on the lighter side, a speed defensive end, what Joe Johnson gives you another guy that's pretty stout against the run and then can come and play the pass as well, but a bigger bodied defensive end. And so he comes in, but Curtis Weaver and Porter Gustin's still here as well in the program. So 3 of those 4, and Cameron Malveaux had an excellent game, I thought, in that final game against Atlanta, and hopefully he lands somewhere else. But for now, that's what you've got. So we went from having 3 defensive ends here to all of a sudden we have 6 in the program again. Right.
Yeah. So you're right back. I mean, you wondered, boy, and we said that when that originally came down, that with just only 3. And obviously Malik McDowell gave you that flexibility to where if need be you could go that way. And they rolled the dice thinking they'd get their guys back, and they got 3/4 of them back. So that's about as big as win as can be. For Jacob Phillips now, in terms of the move now to IR, that holds out hope for him.
Yeah, and they believe that he will be able to come back. Kevin Stefanski talked about it yesterday after practice that, they are very optimistic that following his surgery, which has happened already, that Jacob Phillips will be able to return to the Browns later this season. And that's a position where you've got very good depth right now, but it's likely that you will need more as the season goes on.
Yeah, absolutely so. A lot of fun on the program today. You'll hear from Coach. We will do a little Buckeye chatter as well as they open. A lot of interest here, not just in the building, because I think Tennessee opens tonight too. So you've got the Volunteers playing against BG. That's at BGSU Gibbs. I mean,
Gibby.
I believe that's how that starts. I believe Gibby opens against the Vols down in Knoxville tonight. Is that true, Gibby? Is that the way that's going?
I'm told the 35-point spread, and I'd almost take Tennessee. So that's where I'm at.
Well, Look, Tennessee's starting the Michigan quarterback transfer at quarterback, Joe Milton. So, give BG a puncher's chance there.
Nah.
You ought to go down to the big office and make a little wager.
I need to see some things. This is year 3 of this rebuilding program, and I don't think you start by rebuilding with a win at Tennessee.
Sad.
Probably not.
I don't think that happens. I was a sideline guy a couple times when we played big teams when I was in college.
Yeah.
I was at Missouri. Colby Jones was the quarterback.
Sure, yeah.
We had gone to Missouri the year before and beat them. The year we went there, then we had to go back, and they were national title favorites. They threw oranges at me. And
That's mean.
We had to pull. They pulled the team off the field, and they told the fans if they wouldn't stop that we would get a forfeit. I'm like, I'm all in for the win because that's the only way we're winning this football game. I went to Kansas State. I did a Kansas State game. Bill Snyder was a coach.
Okay.
He ran it up on us. 58-0.
Bishop?
We crossed midfield 3 times.
Is that a Michael Bishop era Kansas State?
Yes,
or is that
Michael Bishop going for the Heisman.
Yep. My cousin. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Similar athletic profiles.
Very same position grouping, everything.
Right.
It's all the same.
It's all the
same. Josh Harris ain't walking through the door. That's the thing tonight for BG.
Urban Meyer's not walking through
Urban
the door.
is not walking. No, he's got his own set of circumstances down in Jacksonville. So you'll hear from Coach on the show. We'll talk a little bit about the Buckeye game as well. Get you a little tail of the tape in the AFC North. Chris Sims previews the AFC North. You have that to look forward to. Denzel Ward as well. A lot of fun here on a Thursday edition. Those were your OBM hot topics. Ohio Business Machine, preferred copier provider of your Cleveland Browns. They have all the X's and O's for your office. Call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. Coach Stefanski up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. Imagine kicking back in the evening in your very own hot tub. Now imagine actually being able to afford one. Northeast Factory Direct buys hot tubs by the truckload. You get a 6-person hot tub with the lounger and the lights. You can still afford your fall activities. You think owning a hot tub would be a pain? It's not. Northeast Factory Direct hot tubs come with an exclusive hardtop cover. You will not have to struggle getting them off and on, and yet these things are safe, and they have a lifetime warranty. They're absolutely awesome. Looking for a way to stay active? They have the amazing swim spas, like a hot tub with these jets you can adjust, a gentle current. You can swim against it. You can use them year-round. Simple as that. And you can see for yourself at West 140th Street in Cleveland, Lakewood Boulevard in Euclid, or Freeway Drive in Macedonia, or you can shop them online anytime at northeastfactorydirect.com. Coach Stefanski addressing the media earlier this morning. Let's have a listen.
Could you clarify?
You guys are down. It's 9 minutes.
Mini bye. Vaccinated players allowed to leave town?
They need to test every day still. Unvaccinated players. Vaccinated players can leave town, yes.
But unvaccinated cannot leave town?
They'd have to test every day, so I guess they'd have to leave town and then get back for the test that next day, theoretically.
So just what are your feelings about this critical period?
With the weekend or yeah, I think it's mandated by the league. The guys, we have to charge our battery up, and they got to be smart in their rest and recovery. We talked about that this morning. We're very mindful that we have 7 weeks until that mini bye after the Thursday night game. We have 12 weeks till our bye, so we need to be real intentional as a team about how we rest and recover.
And correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first time players are allowed to leave before the season.
That's right.
History.
Well, I think it's the first time they've mandated the time off. I think it was up to each club how they wanted to handle this weekend. And remember, you'd be playing a game tonight, and then in previous years, and then the final cuts would be coming in the next couple days.
How will you and the staff handle it?
We'll work. We have plenty of work to do, but we've kind of outlined what we need to get done this weekend in terms of getting ready for next week.
You like to buy so late in the season, Kevin, or is that you have no control?
Yeah, you have no control over it, Jeff. I'd tell you, with the 17th game with the late bye, we've definitely considered that as we've put together our plan.
Are you satisfied just where you're at right now with the team? Are you pretty pleased with everything?
I wouldn't use the word satisfied. I think we're where we need to be with a bunch of work left to do.
Can we talk a lot about the culture and how it's improved? When you got here, were there specific steps you said, okay, I need to do this to help improve the culture? Or what were they?
Nope. Just get the right people in here.
Yeah.
Of all the coaches you worked for and worked with, who do you consider your greatest influence as far as play calling and play design?
Yeah, I'd upset somebody if I gave you one person. I mean that, Zach. I was so fortunate to be around different people, different philosophies, different personalities, different schemes. So I've tried to take everything from all those guys.
You told us about when you became the play caller. It's like, whoa, I mean, is it something you ever worked on before or envisioned, or was it just like, this week I have to come up with a game plan?
Played quite a bit of Madden growing up. No, I think any coach, period, you're calling the plays with the play caller throughout the game. Hey, I really like that call, I wouldn't call that. And I can't tell you how many times as a young coach I'd hear a play call come in and be like, ooh, I wouldn't call that, and then 1st and 10 or touchdown, So I think all of us, when you're not calling the plays, are in that rhythm thinking about what you might call next. I know for us, offensively, and even Joe defensively, I think it's really a really collaborative effort on game days. Ultimately, I'm making those calls, Joe's making that calls, but we have a lot of help along the way.
Do you have any update on the injured guys like Greedy and Delpit and those guys?
No update other than to say, Jeff, that everybody's progressing.
You're going to let these guys live their lives and do as they wish this weekend. Are you encouraging them to stay close to home, though, or what's kind of that message?
Yeah, I think the message is stay safe. Be careful. Follow the rules that are set forth. But in terms of telling guys what they can and can't do, I'm really not in position to do that. I'm in position to tell them to be safe and reiterate some of those messages this morning and again today.
Kevin, a year ago when you guys played Kansas City, it was your first game back after that week off.
Yeah.
You personally, still sounded a little sick. Can you recall?
I did?
Yeah, your symptoms were obvious.
Yeah.
Were you totally up to speed for that game, game day?
I was. Yeah, I was fine.
Were you a little rusty at all?
Well, we lost, so I wasn't good enough, but physically I was fine.
Except for the taste and smell?
Yeah, that luckily came back a couple weeks later. Yeah.
Do you look back at that game like we're playing the second team in a row, or is it the new season second time in a row, or does the new season make it more of a new game?
It's definitely a new game, Zach. I mean, we have a lot of the same players. They have a lot of the same players. We have the same coaches. They have the same coaches. You don't pick up where you left off, so we are certainly anticipating they're going to show us things that we haven't seen throughout the preseason. I know they expect the same from us. So, but of course there will be similarity because a lot of the faces are the same.
Did you watch Ted Lasso?
I've watched a bit of it. I haven't gotten through season 1 yet, though.
I mean, Coach, do you relate at all? Did you?
I don't know how to answer that, Scott. It's a good show.
Kevin, you mentioned Joe earlier. What do you think of the job he did for you last year, and then how eager are you to see we asked you about the evolution of the offense.
Right.
How eager are you to see Joe, if this guy's going to work?
Yeah, for sure, Nate. I tell you, there was definitely an evolution of the defense as well throughout last season. Some different faces in, some different guys out. We added more in terms of the front, added more in terms of the coverage even late into the season. So we expect defensively to be different. We obviously need to be better, and we know that as a unit, and we've outlined ways that we're going to do that.
So we saw JOK get back. He's wearing his helmet. Is there still a competition going on at will linebacker, or do you know who's going to be your starter in Kansas City?
I think we know who our starters are today, Tony, but I would say we'll wait till next week to really finalize what we're going to look like going into Kansas City.
Does that have to do with game plan or the competition itself?
I'd say a little bit of both. You know, I know we have to set that depth chart, and we will, but at the end of the day, we'll play a lot of guys. We really will. We'll wave guys in, especially on the defensive front. So we'll work through all that next week.
Is Higgins back today?
He is not, but he's excused.
Speaking of Rashard, I mean, he's a guy that, like, he's not super fast. He's not like, he doesn't have all these like super traits. Mm-hmm. So what is it that makes him so effective?
You know, with Rashard, I can only go on what I know, and you know, he was inactive for a bunch of games early in the season. Never complained, did what was ever asked of him, then gets in the game and produces, and that's a testament to how hard he works. We've talked about that rapport between him and the quarterback before, and there's a great ability to be where you're supposed to be, make a play when the ball's in the air. I just think that's kind of what I've seen from him in the last year.
Yeah, I wanted to add, like, it just seems like he knows where he's supposed to be, like, every single time.
Yeah, and I think obviously that's a big part of it, being dependable to the offense, not just for the quarterback, but just being dependable.
Will you finalize the practice squad today?
I think we are finalizing it today and tomorrow.
Hey, Kevin, because of the nature of rotating D linemen, is the fourth defensive end pretty important? And what was it about Joe Jackson that made you guys want to bring him back and put him there?
Yeah, Nate, I tell you, all those roles are important, specifically to how we're going to wave the guys along the defensive front. So Joe had a nice camp, did a nice job in the game, so we expect him to continue to build on that.
I guess another question is, why him rather than the three guys you brought back to the practice squad?
Yeah, I think there's so much to consider with those type of decisions, Tony, but specifically to Joe, he had a nice camp.
On a practice squad, is there an ideal number of guys, like, these guys are ready to play, this guy will try to truly develop? Is there something out there?
I don't know if there's a specific number, Zach, but you definitely have guys that could play in week one. You definitely have guys that you're looking at for next season that you want to develop and take a look at. So it varies.
And is Michael Dunn still a consideration for IR?
I think we'll work through all that. He's progressing, though.
Back in 30.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
Oh, no, we're coming back early.
All right, that's Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski at the podium earlier today, addressing the media there. The Browns looking to finalize that practice squad, it sounds like, over the course of today and tomorrow. The players off, as he noted. Any unvaccinated player would not be able to leave. They still have to test every single day. The vaccinated players, though, it sounds like some will be leaving the area, Beau.
Yeah, that's you're always nervous with that, right? I know they're grown men, but I'm always nervous every time I think about that. Like, we're so close. We've come this far, and we've seen it. From the pandemic standpoint, we've seen it affect. I know our vaccination rates are very high.
Yeah.
Based on nothing confirmed from our team, I don't believe, but the feeling around it is that it has been.
Yes.
And so you don't think you're going to have those problems, but it has been something that has happened around the league. I mean, you've seen this issue in Tennessee, you've seen it in Buffalo, you've seen it in Baltimore, you've seen it in Indianapolis, and I do think on the long weekend, I don't think it's going to be a problem for us for the reasons I just said, but I do think you could see some issues next week on this front.
Around the league, I do as well. By the way, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers today announcing that they are 100% vaccinated, which would make them the second team, and both in the NFC South, them and the Atlanta Falcons, who the Browns played last week in the preseason finale. Yeah, it's interesting. This is not something that ever was in the CBA before. Now it is mandated time off for the players here, kind of a mini bye before the season, honestly. And, you look at the Browns' schedule, you've got 7 weeks, and then you have a Thursday night game, which would be a mini bye, and then I think our bye is week 13, so 12 weeks before you actually get that bye, and then hopefully, the mini bye can kind of space it out for you. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, that's one of the things.
We've never had this before, correct? Like you've never had this break, between.
No, because it used to be a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
Friday would be off. Saturday, the 53 would be made, and you would return to practice. Practice Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Take Tuesday off, and then you'd have your regular week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, leading up to the game.
Yeah. So this is uncharted for everybody in terms of how this is going to go. If your game plan for the season includes buying or selling a home, Howard Hanna Real Estate Services has you covered. Visit howardhanna.com/GoBrowns today. We'll do a little college football chatter coming up next. A little tail of the tape, AFC North versus NFC West, all preseason teams. You have that to look forward to, which is nice. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Obsessing over something like football can be a problem. If you're obsessing over gambling, it can be downright dangerous. So do something to take your mind off it. Find a hobby, perhaps. If you want some tips, go to keepitfunohio.com for great ways to keep gambling fun. This is the last weekend without the NFL, and in that wake steps college football. And I'll give college football a lot of credit in that they have delivered really an incredible slate of games throughout the weekend. When you talk about ranked versus ranked, you're talking about Bama and Miami. You're talking about Louisiana and Texas. You're talking about Georgia at Clemson, 2 top 5 teams there. That game's going to be just dripping with NFL talent. Penn State plays at Wisconsin. Indiana is at Iowa. All of those are ranked versus ranked games. Fun one on Sunday night, Notre Dame at Florida State. LSU plays at UCLA late. And, of course, tonight, Ohio State at Minnesota in a game you can listen to right here on 850 ESPN Cleveland. That is an 8 o'clock kick on that one. Let's play a game where we roll reverse, and you be me.
Okay.
Hosting Buckeye Daily.
Yep.
And I'll be Z.
The analyst who knows who's plugged in.
The analyst roster.
Yeah.
I'll be the Chuck Barkley in this one.
All right. So, Beau, tonight the Buckeyes kick off their season with the Minnesota Gophers. Some people are nervous. Nervous. You, not. Why?
Talent. It turns out in that sport, if you recruit and develop talent, you can get most of the guys you want. In all seriousness, guys, and if you don't pay attention to a lot of college football, and I know we got fans all over the place who just love the NFL, a lot of you probably listening, probably are Buckeyes and Browns fans. I've been around college football for 20 years. There has never been a greater gap between great and good in the history of this sport. There are 4 teams primarily, and then it just rotates for the 5th and 6th. Sometimes it's LSU. There's some other ones that get in the mix. But by and large, these 4 teams have dominated the sport. Oklahoma, Ohio State, Bama, and Clemson. Those 4 teams have won their conferences. Ohio State's the fewest consecutive, and it's 4. All the rest of them have won it more than that consecutively. So what's happening is 3 of those teams, Clemson, Ohio State, and Alabama, along with Georgia, are recruiting at a level.
LSU too, or no?
Not to this level. Not to this level.
Okay.
These 4, because LSU can't get quarterbacks. These guys get quarterbacks.
Yep.
They get the best quarterbacks in the country to go there. So that is the difference. That the depth of talent at those places, and sure, LSU is still great. They're recruiting the top 6 or 7 in the country. Oklahoma recruits the top 6 or 7 in the country. But the difference even between those is enormous. So like this year, it's Oklahoma's year, everybody says, because of who they have returning. But they still don't have the depth of talent. As for Ohio State, Minnesota's got a nice little team. But Ohio State's they've got the number 1 and number 2 returning receivers in college football. They're the number 1 and 2 ranked receivers in Pro Football Focus's college football rankings. They have the number 1 receiver in the last 2 classes. They have the number 1 running back, freshman Travion Henderson, who will play. Their quarterback room has 3 5-stars, including the kid who's going to start tonight, C.J. Stroud, who's the number 3 quarterback in the country. They have the number 1 quarterback in the country who's an early entry in Quinn Ewers. Defensively is their only question mark, if there are any. It's in the back 7. And there could be a chance for Minnesota to score some points tonight, but frankly, not enough. I think Ohio State will handle it pretty easily. The talent gap, it's incredible, which is why when we talk about Urban at Jacksonville, pal, I'm always like, I don't know how he's going to handle this.
Right.
I don't know how he's going to handle just being able to go get the guys he wants. We talked about Noah Spence yesterday. That was a guy who was the number 1 defensive end in the country. Urban was on the job a week. He knew they had to get better on the defensive line, so he went and got him. You can't do that here.
No, you can't just you can't have all the number 1s there. So where's this Buckeye team, put it in terms of Buckeye teams of the last, call it 6 years? Is this a team that you think is a lock straight to the playoff?
Yes.
Team that is a national champion contender?
Yep.
Okay.
It's both of those. There's nobody. The other thing that's happened is the difference between Ohio State and the rest of the teams in the Big Ten. The gap is as big as it's ever been. It's never been this big. It used to be the Big 2 and the Little 8 back in the old days when it was them and Michigan. Well, Michigan is not a serious football program anymore, and Penn State is down. So they've separated from everybody else in their own league, so they will go undefeated. They play Oregon next week. Their head coach, Ryan Day, is 25-2 at Ohio State. His 2 losses are to Clemson with Trevor Lawrence and to Alabama in the national championship game last year. That's it. That's the list. His average margin of victory in Big Ten games is 32 points. Average margin of victory. They average 50 points a game in Big Ten play since he's been the coach. They average 545 yards of offense in Big Ten play since he's been the coach. They have not been touched. They've played 15 Big Ten games since he's got there. 11 of them are by 20 or more by margin.
Dominant.
So, yeah, they'll be – you can't get more. So settle down, S. You're safe. And so, yeah, they're in it. I think college football is a little down this year. Last year there were some super teams. Probably the best Ohio State team in the last 5 or 6 years was the team 2 years ago that had Chase Young and Jeff Okudah and Justin Fields and J.K. Dobbins. They had 3 Heisman finalists on that team. That was probably the most talented team, Buckeye team, of the last since 15. This team's not that good. But college football's down a little bit. Trevor Lawrence isn't at Clemson. Mac Jones isn't at Alabama. Those receivers aren't at Bama. Everybody's kind of come back a little bit. So it's wide open amongst those 5 or 6, and they certainly are a contender for that.
With Michigan, as you said, being permanently down, or at least it feels that way recently in terms of being an elite program, who, if there were to be anybody that could challenge the Bucs in the Big Ten, who would those teams be?
Well, I'll use challenge very, very lightly. But if you had to pick 2 of interest, Penn State still has decent talent. They continue to put guys in the league, and they have decent talent. And then the one from the West, just because it would be such a different type of opponent, could be Iowa. Iowa's got a pretty good team. They got a big-time middle linebacker who's back, who's a first-team All-Big Ten guy. Their defense is very sound. They're very well coached. They're great up front. They're good at tight end. Maybe Iowa. But this is stretching. This is stretching. I'll tell you what, if you took Ohio State out of the Big Ten would be a fascinating conference because it would be pretty wide open this year. And there's some dudes around the league, but there's nobody that's got the roster depth that Ohio State has. Nobody.
And so where does that leave in your mind, noting what you just said at the beginning about that 4 teams have just absolutely dominated the college football landscape? Where does that leave college football?
I think in a very scary spot. I think especially for a traditionalist. If you're a traditionalist, and the beautiful thing is you growing up in California, me growing up in Montana, people who grew up here in Ohio, people who grew up in the South, college football is a secular thing. You could find teams in your area. You growing up, there were certainly times you growing up where Cal put a squad out there.
Yeah, Cal was good. Stanford was good.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Deshaun Jackson, when he was at Cal, and they've had quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff. They had quarterbacks. Absolutely, yeah. They've had dudes. Marshawn Lynch. Stanford's had players. It was more evenly dispersed around the country. In our lifetime, Washington won a national championship. Mm-hmm. Georgia Tech won a national championship. Mm-hmm. Colorado won a national championship. Obviously, Nebraska won a couple of national championships. If you go look at the national champions, BYU way back. So if you want to go back to the 80s and 90s, it really was spread throughout the country. It's been a long time since we've had a new national champion in college football. It's been a long time since we've had a team play for a national championship that's been new in college football. So it's not good. And what the Big Ten, what the SEC did this season of taking Texas and Oklahoma from the Big 12 and consolidating that power in the South, and I think what they're going to try to do is try to do like an English Premier League model where they have the 20 best programs in college football and they're going to keep all the money. I think that's their long-term plan, and I think they're headed there. So it's not good. It's not good in that sense. Name, image, and likeness, I'm all for. Anybody should be able to make money on their name, image, and likeness. Ohio State has a 4-string quarterback who just signed a 3-year, $1.4 million deal to sign autographs with a national company. That's pretty wild.
Wasn't he like the top recruit? Is that what you're talking about? Ewers or?
It's a kid who skipped his senior year of high school.
Yeah.
Number 1 quarterback in the country for next year's class. He just signed a 3-year, $1.4 million deal to sign autographs at Ohio State.
Yeah. Incredible. Why is it that teams like that people would know, Notre Dame, Michigan, Florida, Florida State, the U, that have all at other times had good runs or good moments, why are they not able to compete with the 4 that you mentioned at the top?
Coaching, okay, it starts there. In all of those places there were coaching misses. All of them are different too. I mean, like for example, Miami doesn't have any money, so they can't build facilities. They can't compete with Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson on a facility standpoint. So that's Miami's issue is they just don't have the money to make it work. Florida State, bad coaching hires, several in a row after Jimbo Fisher left. Florida, the same thing after Urban. It seems like they've righted a little bit with Dan Mullen now, another guy who was at BG. So then you go to Notre Dame. Notre Dame's actually been a really solid program, really solid. They haven't won a national title since '88, but they've played for 2. They've been in the playoff. They played for 1 in the early 2010s. 2012, they played for 1. They just don't have they haven't had the quarterbacks. You have to have a dude at quarterback, and they just haven't had that guy, a pro quarterback. You've got to go back to Brady Quinn to find a time where they had, a true pro quarterback. Who else did you mention? Michigan.
Or even like USC.
Bad coaching hires. USC is the most – USC and Texas not being great the last most alarming. And a lot of that is recruiting and, again, bad coaching hires. Carroll leaves. They go Kiffin, Sarkisian, and now Clay Helton. He's just not dynamic in recruiting. You could flip USC in a second, though, with the right coach. If you had somebody who could sell it, you could flip it in 5 minutes.
Maybe Urban will end up there after Jacksonville.
Don't even joke. That can be said with a straight face.
I was saying that with a straight face.
I know you were. For those who do not have access to our own private Zoom, yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of Steve Spurrier to Urban. I do think that there's a lot of Spurrier. That Spurrier was not prepared for what the NFL is all about, and I don't think that Urban is prepared for what the NFL is all about. And I don't think if this goes bad, and I think look, I don't want to crush him before it starts because he's good at everything, and he'll learn. I just don't know if he'll have the patience for it. Dude, he lost 9 games at Ohio State. 9. He will lose 10 for sure this year.
Oh, yeah. What's amazing to me, though, is, and we talked about this not on air yet, so I'll bring it up on air. Watching Hard Knocks this week, they showed the post-game handshake between he and Mike McCarthy, and Mike McCarthy asked him, are you having fun with this yet? And he paused. He said, I'm learning to, and he goes, it's just all football. Like kind of almost exasperated. Like it's just all, he goes, I haven't been on a recruiting call.
Yeah.
It's all football. And McCarthy goes, kind of like, there isn't recruiting. You're coaching a group of professionals.
I think it's very possible that he thought he could recruit free agents. Did he go visit them?
And just sell them.
Sell them.
But money matters and salary caps. And
of course. Yeah, of course.
I think he thought he could just get everybody that was a free agent, like literally all of them. I'm going to recruit them. They're going to want to be in our program.
Look, he's in my opinion, the second best college football coach of the last 40 years.
Behind Saban.
Saban won. Yep. He's 2. He's won national championships
There's
in 2 places.
Doubt.
He's won big at Bowling Green, at Utah, at Florida, at Ohio State. He is a program-building machine.
Yes, I was
and at one time,
architect.
he was an innovator.
Yeah.
At one time, he was an innovator. When I was in Florida, when he took the job at the University of Florida, and they said, we can't use spread in the SEC. Can't run it. Well, year 2, he won a national title.
That's right.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And he was one of the innovators of the spread. But what he became was a program architect. So what that is what Saban is, which is you set the standard with your coaches, you set the standard with your players, you recruit relentlessly, you have somebody great to develop them. He's a whirlwind of culture. But in the NFL, that only goes so far.
Right. Well, and you can't also get the 5 best quarterbacks, the 5 best tailbacks,
no.
and say, okay, you guys are going to duke it out. And let me tell you something, you win, you come in here, you're not afraid of competition, you get into our program, you'll get an opportunity to play at the next level. And that's the truth, and that's the selling point. There is no next level.
This is one of the biggest things that I think wasn't considered by him in this process. So he relied heavily on Jimmy Johnson on this process because Jimmy did this successfully. Jimmy Johnson won a national championship in Miami and then took over the Dallas Cowboys, right? Here's the biggest difference, in my opinion. Curious what you think about this. When Jimmy took over the Cowboys, the depth of scouting was not what it is now.
Correct.
The amount of information that these NFL teams now have on every draft pick was not what it is now. The NFL was also not as financially wealthy as it is now. In other words, Minnesota did the Herschel Walker deal for a couple of reasons. Number one, they wanted to sell some tickets. they thought they were close, and they wanted to sell some tickets, and Herschel Walker was blockbuster where that is concerned. That creates excitement in your program. Jimmy Johnson had spent the previous years recruiting the best players in college football. He knew more about who was coming out into the draft than likely most of the teams in the NFL at that point did.
Yeah.
It's come so far. This is a smart man's game now. The NFL is a smart man's game. College football is a smart man's game, but it's also a smooth man's game.
Yeah,
it's a
force
sell.
of nature, right? Personality. A cult of personality can win in college football.
Yes, because you can win in the room.
Right.
You can win in the room.
That's how you stack the deck. You don't have to hit the one pick out of 32 you're given in 7 different rounds.
No, of course. And so now that he doesn't have that, and I think so to me then when I think about, and I said this last year when you were hearing whispers about Urban, if I were Jacksonville, I would try to hire Ryan Day. Now I don't want to send S driving off the side of the road if he's driving around his car right now.
Yeah, I
hope he's not listening. But I would try to hire Ryan Day because I think Ryan Day and Lincoln Riley are the 2 best play callers. I think they're 2 of the 5 or 6 best play callers in all of the sport. I think they're that good. I think they're there with Kyle. I think they're there with Stefanski. I think they're there with our guys in terms of the way that they keep guys on their heels.
Yeah.
So I would want those guys. I don't need one-man culture
retreads.
machine.
Yeah.
No. And one-man culture machine, you really don't need that if you're smart. The culture sets itself if you're smart. You put pros in the best position to succeed.
It's also hard, though, I would imagine, when you're used to, if, for example, we talked about there's 32 picks in the first round in the NFL, that at Ohio State you were getting 10. You had 10 picks in the first round every year.
Yeah.
And Alabama probably had 10 picks in the first round every year. And then, there were probably 8 or so for, the Oklahomas, Georgias, and those schools.
Clemson, yeah.
And then the other Clemson, and then nobody else had really first-round picks. Maybe they get 1. That's a whole different environment.
Completely. I don't know if people understand what exactly, to put it into perspective, what you just explained, but here's a number that'll give it proof. In the last top 100 players in the country in college football from a high school kids coming out, Clemson, Georgia, Florida, Ohio State, and Alabama signed over 60.
Signed how many?
Over 60 of the top
100. So that means that those schools, and to put it into perspective, the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft are 96 players are drafted. That means that how many schools did you list there? 4. 4 schools would have basically 20 picks between them in each of the first 3 rounds, and every other school in college football would have 12 picks per round split amongst them.
Right, and it's not even because you're talking about 32 teams. You're talking about 100 teams splitting that up.
Sure.
Right, and every once in a while, Minnesota gets a 5-star receiver. It's not like the next 40, those other 40, 50 guys that are out there that are going to the rest. They're not all going to LSU. They're not all going to Penn State. Like, it's getting spread out. So it's even worse than that.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that's tricky. That's the thing. Ohio State will play this entire season. I think it's a pretty safe bet to say they'll play this entire season without being anything less than a double-digit favorite, which is crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah. It is. That was fun.
Yeah.
And it starts tonight, and you can listen to it right here on 850 ESPN Cleveland. I do think that is something that is very interesting to me from the standpoint of, it's something that changed. There was this notion that you would have to go to the pros to be compensated properly as a coach. And if you've seen some of the contracts that these college coaches have gotten recently, Jimbo Fisher, who won a national championship at Florida State but hasn't even played for an SEC title at Texas A&M, just signed a 10-year, $95 million contract that takes him through 2031. $9.5 million a year to coach Texas A&M.
Jeez.
Has not won an SEC West. He gets housed by Bama. Like, it's not like they lose by 20 every time. He'll see every penny. 10-year, $95 million.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild.
But his impact, the impact of a coach in college football is so great. You control all of it. And I think a lot is made of if Drew Brees doesn't get hurt. It's one of the great what-ifs in sports. If they sign Drew Brees in Miami when Saban is there, does he go back to Alabama? Probably not at that time because they would have won with Breeze. He was actually pretty good at Miami. I think they went like 10-6, 8-8. I mean, he wasn't some embarrassment at Miami, and they didn't have quarterback play. So if they have Breeze, does he stay there? Maybe, but you would have missed out on really the most incredible run in the history of college sports, which is what he's done at Alabama over the last 12 years. He's got 6 national titles.
It just feels like a season that it's like watching a movie that you've seen a bunch of times. And maybe like at the end of the DVD, there are a couple different alternate endings that are available to you, but that's it.
Yeah, the starring roles change, like the actors in the movie changes, but the story remains the same. Oh, hey, here's Top Gun with Tom Cruise. All right, here's Top Gun with John Travolta in the starring role. Here's Kevin Costner in the starring role. But it all ends the same. Maverick saves the day.
That's right.
That's the same thing. What's happening in college football? It's the actor changes in terms of the players come and go. The programs remain, and it's been that way for a little bit of a while. I'm very thankful we don't have that in the NFL, where smart wins in the NFL, and you do have some turnover. And despite the Patriots having all of the success that they have, the deck is stacked for that not to happen, which makes what they did even more impressive.
Yes.
It'll never happen again.
No.
You'll never see that type of run.
No.
All right, we will get back to the NFL side of things. Chris Sims with a preview of the AFC North. It is coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Into Cleveland Browns Daily, second hour of the program on a Thursday edition of the program. Beau Bishop here for my friends at EOX Vantage, and EOX Vantage has a local presence, but that global footprint is trusted by some of the world's biggest brands. This is a testimonial from EOX Vantage client Tom Daugherty. He's the Senior Vice President of Specialty Programs at the NIP Group. He says, quote, I was saying about working with EOX Vantage, if you dream it, they can build it. We generate lots of ideas for them to carry out, and they've implemented everything we've come up with. We brainstorm ways to innovate and improve our company, and we use EOX Vantage for their infrastructure, coding, and programming capabilities, technological expertise, and experience working with global brands. We're absolutely thrilled with the partnership. You can learn more about EOX Vantage by visiting www.eoxvantage.com or call 216-298-1616. That's 216-298-1616. They can help you the way that they've helped Tom. We are kind of the calm before the storm. A lot of the NFL with the next couple of days off, all the NFL with the next couple of days off, and we'll reconvene next week for game week. A lot of previews, a lot of opinions. Gibby's best friend, Chris Sims, with some on the AFC North. Let's have a listen.
It has not popped to me at all.
Yeah.
Through preseason.
How
and
major
that would bother
is the Dobbins injury for you?
Oh well, it's like Gus Edwards is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I love him, but where Dobbins is special is he's a home run hitter, and you can't replace run hitters. Like you can't replace a guy that can go around the edge for 60,
right,
and get a touchdown on one play.
Mm-hmm.
There's great value in that stat, and there's really no stat that can really quantify that altogether.
And especially the kind of runs they can do there with Lamar at quarterback.
They can open the field up.
Yeah.
He's made for that. But Gus Edwards is going to be good.
Sure.
He can get 20 and 30 and a lot of great 5s and 10s, but he's not going to go for 70 down the sideline. Dobbins has game-breaking 4.3 type speed, and that's where it stinks for them.
All right, Cleveland. The over-under for the Cleveland Browns is 10.5, another hook there. Last year they were 11-5. You taking more than that or less?
I'm going more.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I am. I mean, it just, listen, I mean, the only thing that stops me at all with Cleveland is just going, it's Cleveland. Are they going to mess this up? Because, we're kind of, prone to that, thought. But I don't see that with this group. And
once you get past that.
Exactly.
Right? And I thought about that with the Jets, too. I'm like, am I just doing this because it's the Jets?
No, yeah, you were good.
There are more
with
real
that.
reasons.
Yeah, right.
Same thing with Cleveland. I almost had it pull me back. I'm like, it's the Browns. Come on now. But really, I mean, what's the weakness? If someone were to call you up and say, God, you really screwed up by not taking the under with the Browns, what's the argument to think that they won't win 11 games?
I don't have one for you.
Besides the history.
Yeah, I mean, there's not one. The Browns are one of the most perfectly built teams in football. Let alone they ended off on a good year last year, going in the right direction. They're really built perfectly for the scheme they play. Some of the questions we had on defense, a little more speed at linebacker. Okay, they got Anthony Walker. They got Owusu Karamoa. They need a safety because they play the Seattle scheme. They got John Johnson. Oh, okay. And then, Greg Newsome at corner, who's a long Richard Sherman type of corner that fits that scheme. And, of course, Denzel Ward, when he's healthy, he's one of the better corners in football. Can Clowney stay healthy?
Yeah.
Those are
That's
things
a fair
maybe.
question.
Those are maybe the things.
Yeah.
Like Clowney and Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett always seems to miss a few games every year, too. Those are maybe the only things I look at. Like, just the injury bug can screw them.
What about your belief level in Maker? I'm sorry.
Maker?
in
Maker
in the leader house. He is
Maker
in
Bayfield.
the leader house
Yeah.
to win more than 11 games. But I think if someone took the under here for Cleveland, they'd raise their hand and say, still not totally sold on Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
I am
too.
You are as well.
Yeah, definitely. Just the last 5, 6, 7 games of the year were too special last year. And even, again, I wish they would have played their starters a little bit more in the preseason, but the way he looked last night, Sunday Night Football against the Falcons, I know it was 2 drives, but the damn touchdown throw is what I saw consistently at the end of the year last year.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody in my face, so what? That guy's open by half an inch. I'm going to throw it in there, and I'll get it in. Perfect throw.
Yeah.
Touchdown. I just – and I feel like he – exudes confidence, and they feel it, and they know what they're doing, and I know where to go with the ball, and the Czech's second year in the same offense finally.
Yeah, even when he shouldn't have, he still had that feeling.
I know.
And now that he should,
right.
I mean, he's got
it's
it times
justified
10.
this time.
Yeah.
Right.
I just love the synergy with Baker and Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Get the feeling that's really moving in the right direction.
I look at them with, like, Kansas City week 1, we know is going to be a beast. And Kansas City's played their starters a lot. They know that they're marked man, and Cleveland's coming for their ass because they're mad at that playoff loss.
Yeah.
But, then after that game, they might lose to Kansas City. We know that. Texans, Bears, Vikings, Chargers, Cardinals, Broncos. Listen, it's the NFL. I know nothing's easy there, but they are better than all of those teams. All of them. Texans, Bears, Vikings, no doubt about it. Chargers are one of those teams that we know has talent. We'll see where it goes and all those type of things. But I have no problem saying they're better than Arizona and Denver at this point, too, to where I can't envision them getting off to too slow of a start here.
Right. Yeah. Steelers, another surprising number for me, 8.5. Last year they were 12-4. I think more than any number, the fact that they finished so poorly last year is still on people's minds.
Yeah.
But the Steelers at 8.5. What do you think?
I'm going to go over here too.
I did as well.
I mean, the defense is still really good. I'd like to see what happens with T.J. Watt in this contract situation. Are they going to get him out here soon, and are they going to get this deal done? But you got Devin Bush back, a middle linebacker. They traded for Schobert. Secondary, the scheme is creative. You got one of the best safeties in Minkah Fitzpatrick. We know the D-line's good to go along with. And it seems like they're going to try to do what we talked about on the offensive side of the ball. I did a little thing last night, just again about Big Ben and the Pittsburgh. Like, we can't be predictable and throw the ball every play and then be doubly predictable and go, we're going to throw the ball right here in this spot every play. Like, that can't happen. We've seen that there's definitely a change in mantra there. They're going to try to run the ball. I hope they protect him like Bucks did with Brady last year a little bit more. Let him drop back sometimes and just go, man, Claypool's one-on-one. Deontay Johnson's one-on-one. If he's off, run a comeback. If he presses you, run a go. I'll hit you.
Right.
It doesn't need to always be so complicated. So I'm not going to say that they're going to be 12-5 or 13-4, but I certainly think they get over the 8.5. Yeah.
The Steelers being at 8.5 to be exactly 500. I know you can't be exactly 500 anymore, but people out there are saying that's what they are. This is a 500 team. Do you think that's because of Ben Roethlisberger and people doubting him a little bit right now?
Yeah, I do. I think it's because of that and what you said to start it off, the taste they left in everybody's mouth last year.
Yeah.
First off, and the O-line to Pete was saying, it's all, but Mike Tomlin's too smart. He knows he can't do that to Big Ben again. That's why they drafted Najee Harris. That's why they drafted some of these offensive linemen. It's going to be a different look, a different style of play. And Big Ben, arm is still top notch. I saw enough throws just in that Lions game 2 weeks ago to go, there's laser beams. And then he had a play where he moved around like old Big Ben. Like, when he did that, I literally almost fell off my chair. I was like, wait, he ran to the left and reversed right and went over there?
Yeah.
I haven't seen him do that in like 4 years.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Right. So, I don't sleep on this Steelers team. Too many alphas, too much of a great leader in Mike Tomlin. I'm going over here all the way.
One more team in the AFC North, the Bengals, 6.5. Last year they won 4 games. They were 4-11-1. Under. 6.5.
Under.
You got the under?
It's like, again, whoever did this line was smoking crack with the Jets guy.
I thought this one was pretty easy, too, for the under.
I mean, what Joe Burrow, I mean, Jamar Chase, the way that's looked, I don't even want to get on the Jamar Chase thing, but yes, I mean, the way that's looked, and Joe Burrow, listen, I still think it's weird that they took him out after 3 plays. They didn't let him play third down in the preseason game. They took him off the field on second down for one series. Really? He couldn't even play the third play? He ran 3 plays, one of which was a penalty, and they took him off the field, Paul. That was just weird to me. Just weird. I got to see that one to believe it.
Yeah.
On both sides of the ball.
And I would like to.
Yes, I would too.
Burrow fan.
Me too.
Right?
Yeah, but I don't see it happening this year in that division.
Yeah.
Exactly, And the one thing we'll say about the AFC North, they got, let me make sure I got this right. The NFC North, which I don't think real highly of
30.
Green Bay's real. The other ones I think are all kind of questionable. They got the AFC West, which is good, but I'm not going to sit here and say it's great yet. We know there's one great team.
Yeah.
And then there's some potential for the Chargers and Broncos maybe to be something. We'll see. But again,
back in 10.
Right.
So, yeah, I think the other 3 teams in the division are legit playoff contenders, and I think the Bengals are contending for a top 5 draft pick next year.
You're up.
Boy, that'd be a tough spot for the Bengals if that were true.
Yeah.
If they didn't make – they certainly expect to be more than that, and I think offensively they'll be more.
A lot of firepower there.
Yeah, certainly so. You've seen the movie you're aware of the John Hughes made a movie in the 80s called Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You're aware of that show? You've seen that movie?
I am
We are here at the fort at the what I would like to refer to as the Donkashane Twist and Shout portion as young Bootsy.
He's in a parade. That's right.
4
Shaking
days.
a baby now.
Just
all we need is you looking out your office window dancing along.
That's it.
That's
I should.
We need.
Yeah.
You should.
I'm the dad.
Yeah.
That's right. Ferris's dad didn't see him dancing and being in the parade, but he was dancing with it.
Yeah.
Good job out of you. And that's where we are right now. That's what just occurred. We are at that. The fact that, 4 days into his school experience, he pulled a Ferris Bueller on the blonde is a pretty remarkable situation. But that's what's happened.
Pretty much the least
You
surprising
saw the video.
Pretty much the least surprising thing I've ever
He's
heard.
5.
He's 5. He's already done it. But the best part is it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, not a cloud in the sky. He's riding his bike through your front yard with his mom, yeah? Was that who's watching?
That's right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she is now an active
even beyond Bueller.
chaperone to his
She's an active
his
participant.
partying. Yeah, she's part of the crew.
She's playing the role of Sloan.
Sloan, without
that's where
the
we're at
right,
right
exactly.
now. Without the
Yes, of course.
things
Well,
that make it
that's
awkward. Yeah,
how it is in that family.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there he goes. It's really a remarkable situation. All right, Denzel Ward at his presser from yesterday. We'll have some highlights of that coming up for you. Plus ESPN's final top 100 players.
Get me Bootsy's attendance records immediately. Days absence already gone from 1 to 0 on the old cursor.
1 to 0.
It just dropped right
Going
down.
That's why he was on the iPad this morning.
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
Clicking it down.
Clicking down his absences.
Nothing to see here.
Unbelievable.
Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. Beau Bishop for my guys at Weather Seal Home Services. September's all about buy one, get one windows at Weather Seal. This month, buy one Ultra Seal window, get one Ultra Seal window free. Buy 5, get 5. There's no minimum or maximum, so replace all your problem windows at once. Weather Seal's Ultra Series windows are strong, they're durable, beautiful, easy to clean, and easy to open. And for the lowest monthly payments, ask about Weather Seal's 7-year, zero-interest financing with the approved credit. It's an incredible deal. You can call 877-WINDOWS or visit WeatherSealHomeservices.com for more. Denzel Ward, certainly somebody who will have all eyes on him a week from Sunday against that incredible Kansas City passing attack. I believe he'll be up for that challenge. He met with the media yesterday. Let's have a listen.
Denzel, you guys are down.
Last week he said, obviously,
420.
Guys, but other than that, how do you measure, what's a good defense and how much better you guys can be? What are the benchmarks for that?
Yeah, I mean, he set the tone, like you said, definitely points allowed. I mean, his guys doing their job, and that's what we try to go out and do every time we step out on the field, do our job, because when we do our job, we win. So, I mean, just about executing that and everything else to take care of itself at the end of the game.
Are you really confident that you can do your job at the top level now? And what makes you confident that you can do your job at the top level?
Yeah, I'm very confident I could do my job at a high level and at the highest level here. I feel I stack up with other corners as well, top corners in the league. And I feel I showed that going out there on the field, and I feel my play speaks for itself.
Denzel, what has Greg Newsome shown to you over the course of training camp and the couple of good performances he had over the preseason games?
Yeah, I'll definitely say consistency. I mean, he's been making plays out here, doing what he's supposed to do. He's been doing his job, but he's just been consistent every day with his technique and execution and making plays out here.
Would you say he's ready for an every down role and possibly even one that requires him to play in the slot a little bit, since we saw him get some work inside?
Definitely. He definitely has that versatility. Like you said, he could play in the inside, in the slot. He could play outside corner. So I know the coaches and the team is very excited about that, being able to use him in multiple places. But, yeah, he's definitely ready for all that.
The starting secondary obviously has not been together on the field for a game yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, and yet since you opened against Kansas City, are you guys 100% ready to gel and face that offense?
Yeah, I think we're 100% ready. Definitely. I mean, we take advantage of these opportunities that we get out here, and we use that. So I think we're going to be ready come game time.
The Chiefs have had the top offense in the league for a couple of years. They've been in the Super Bowl now a couple of years. How do you think the Browns' offense measures up to them since you practice against them?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely believe that they stack up. We got top running backs in the game. We got a great quarterback, great receiving core, great O-line. I mean, but we just got to go out there and show it every day. But I believe they're definitely a top offense in this league. And, I mean, they showed that last year and plan to show that again this year.
Those 3 weeks you had you were sidelined with what they said was soreness.
Mm-hmm.
Was that good for you to be, fresher for the season, or what was really going on?
Yeah, definitely just, like you said, be fresher for the season. Main focus is on week 1. It was just general soreness or whatever. But, I mean, even though you guys seen that, I was still working or whatever, things you may not have seen. But I was still working. But main focus is week 1.
Has the defense taken a deep dive into the Chiefs tape yet? And if so, when did you guys really start that process?
We really started now. Yeah.
Did you start watching any tape sooner than now?
Yeah, here and there I've been watching some tape, trying to get some tips and everything. But yeah, I started a little earlier.
How scary is it to go up against a guy as fast as Tyreek Hill?
You said how scary is it?
Well, how difficult is it?
How difficult? I mean, he's a great player. There's a lot of great players in this league, but I mean, you just gotta have confidence in your own game and knowing what you could do and what you're capable of. And I mean, I have a lot of confidence in my game and the rest of this team. And I mean, I think we'll all do a good job of taking care of what we got to do come game day.
Denzel, you had to miss the Pittsburgh game last year because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But you were back for the Kansas City game. Were you as sharp as you wanted to be for that game?
I mean, I feel I wasn't as sharp as I would have wanted to be. Probably just coming off of COVID, it was a little difficult, but I mean, I was still ready, and so I was out there playing, so I mean, I was ready, so I gave my best shot that I could, but I'm definitely looking forward to this
back in 30
coming up.
In your individual case, you think it's a fairer fight now, not having come off of COVID?
I wouldn't say it wasn't a fair fight. I mean, I was out there, so I mean, I felt that I was ready and felt that I was good. We probably wish that some plays would have went differently than they did, but I mean, I was still ready to play, and I'm gonna be ready to play come game day.
You're back.
Yeah, he'll be ready. This guy is a football Ferrari, so he's fine-tuned. He'll be ready. He's not going to fear anybody on the outside. I think he's got as good a hands in the defensive back categories as anybody in that category in terms of his ability to late in the ball's flight fight receivers for the ball. The quickness of those hands that he has, there aren't many that can match it.
No, he tracks the ball well. He mirrors well. He does everything you want out of a corner. And I think he knows that it's a big season for him. And I think he wants to go out there and put 17 games on tape.
Yeah.
16 for the first time in his career, but 17 with the extra game this year. And be that dominant force. And he's going to have a chance. When you as a corner know, and I've talked to some of the DBs about this, when you know that you have guys like Miles and Jadeveon and Tack and Malik up front who are going to get to the quarterback, you know it sometimes the ball's got to come out, and you'll have an ability. I think Denzel is going to have the ability to get his hands on a few more footballs this year than maybe in years past because of that marriage, as I talked about on offense. It's the marriage of the run and the pass. On the defense, it's the marriage of the rush and the coverage.
Absolutely so, yeah. So not only have you think about it, I don't know if there's an improvement as big anywhere in the league as the improvement from our secondary from a year ago to what we're going to trot out there to start this season. When you think about the new faces, you're talking about 3 new corners. You're talking about potentially 2 new safeties, depending on the look that you're in, but certainly 1 new safety in John Johnson. And it's not just that you brought in new faces, you brought in great players across the board in the secondary. I mean, just off the top of your head, is there a position group in the league that's as improved as our secondary?
I don't think so, and that's what we want to see is all of them out there together. But when you add 40% of the number 1 ranked defensive secondary in the NFL in one offseason, you bring back 2 guys who were studs at LSU, second-round picks in Greedy and Grant Delpit, and you draft a Greg Newsome. I don't know. That sounds like a recipe for improvement when you add – that's 5 guys that are being added to your top 8 or top 7 on the back end, including Ronnie and Denzel, which is – pretty 2 good people to start with as a foundation, and then you had John and you had Troy and Grant, Greedy, and Greg. Pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. I can't wait to see the type of damage that they can do. And you think about adding Jadeveon and Tack up front, and that only adds to that and everything that it can be. I forgot about the COVID stuff. Have you had that happen when you look back on last season, where I almost feel like there was so much going on the field and off of it? Certainly there are the big moments that I remember, but there are certain games that I do not recall the way that I did previous seasons, and I just wonder if there was just so much going on that you forget it. I've had that happen this year a couple of times where until Tony asked that question, I had forgotten that he was a COVID casualty in the Pittsburgh game, that he was on the COVID list.
Yeah, Robert Jackson had to start at corner in that game along with Money Mitch, and you'd had no Joel Bitonio in that game. That one was overshadowed by Kevin Stefanski.
Right.
Which
as it
would be. First time that's ever happened. So, yeah, there were a lot of little things that happened like that throughout the season. And hopefully this season, we'll go through it with a little bit smoother sailing. But that remains to be seen with everything, obviously, that's going on in the country and in the world with the Delta variant. But hopefully, those aren't the type of things that we have to recall. Oh, and they missed this game, and they missed that game, and our head coach wasn't there on the sidelines.
Right. Baker threw to a bunch of receivers he'd never thrown to in New York. I mean, gosh, remember that game plan?
Yeah.
You remember that game plan? Just hoop. Over and over. Just kept the 2 backs. And
we still almost won. A little ball handling issue late in the game was the difference.
I don't know. You think about what Denver did when they played without any quarterback because the whole room was contaminated. They played an NFL game without a quarterback. It was interesting because the NFL at the beginning of last year moved mountains for Tennessee. But then as it went along, that stopped. But that first month, it was twice for Tennessee.
Yep.
And then they didn't for anybody else. It was like, well, sorry.
That's it.
Play.
Yeah.
We wish you the best of luck. And that's what they did. Yeah, it's incredible. Hopefully, and I'm pretty confident, a much bigger turn to a relative normalcy this year in the season. All right, coming up next, ESPN with the top 100 players going into the 2021 season. We'll tell you where the Browns ranked on that list. That is coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Elk & Elk Serious Lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO for a free case review. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. ESPN with their top 100 players is coming off on the heels of the NFL Network, which is voted on by the players. ESPN asked a panel of more than 50 NFL experts to rate players based on how good they will be in the 2021 season compared to their peers. So this is forecasting ahead, obviously. Emphasis placed solely on expectations for the season, predicted potential greatness, rather than past performance, career resume, or positional value. That is the objective of this thing, and so here is where our Cleveland Browns are on that list. Myles Garrett was our highest ranked. He was number 11. So their projections for him were just 12 sacks, which seems, barring injury, near impossibility to me.
By the way, they have T.J. Watt 6th, and his projection is 11 sacks and 3 forced fumbles.
Okay, I don't understand that. I'm not sure where that is. It gets more troubling from there. They have Nick Chubb 54th. So is this based on the fact that he'll have to timeshare with Kareem, that they'll split up carries and touches and yards? I guess that must be. I don't understand how they're quantifying this.
I don't either. And Nick Chubb is not the 54th best player, and Derrick Henry's at 29. I mean, which feels low for him, thus it is low for Nick Chubb as well. They think that he's going to have 1,200 yards rushing and 11 touchdowns, which is lower than what he did last year from a touchdowns perspective, and he did that in 12 games.
They have Denzel 56, Baker 86, Joel Bitonio 93. So at least some of our guys who didn't get any love on the NFL 100 got some love here. For some perspective, Russell Wilson was 4 on this list. Tyreek Hill was 5. Josh Allen 9. Dak Prescott was 12.
Okay, read the next one now. Just read read the next one immediately.
Come on. Tom Brady 20?
20.
He's 8 spots behind Dak Prescott.
How is that? How do we get to this point?
How's that possible?
How does that happen?
Who's ranking this? So they're trying to project. Here's the hard thing. All right. So obviously what I would take from this is the people at ESPN do not think we're going to have a very good year.
That we're not?
And they think
we still have 5 guys in the top 100.
I understand that, but we don't have anybody. We have Miles is 11 and Nick's 54.
Tom Brady is 20. He's the 6th best quarterback in the league.
I understand. That's what I'm saying. So they don't think Brady's going to have a good year.
I guess not.
And they think Dak's going to have a heck of a year.
They think that he's going to throw for 4,651 yards, 36 touchdowns, 11 picks. They think Dak is going to throw for 4,800 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 12 picks. What?
So his numbers aren't even as good.
No.
As Brady's.
What?
I don't understand this. I don't understand what they're doing here. Very, very confused. The idea that Dak Prescott would be 12th on this list, he missed most of last season, obviously, with the broken leg.
Mm-hmm.
And it missed most of camp. If you've watched Hard Knocks, with a shoulder that the basically going to have to play with. It's where it is. There's nothing that they're going to do. He's just going to have to play with the injury. And they have him 8 spots ahead of Tom Brady.
These projections are interesting. They think Matt Stafford's going to throw 26 touchdowns in a 17-game season. They think Lamar Jackson, who's rushed for more than 1,000 yards in each of the last 2 seasons, is only going to rush for 800 in a 17-game season. He's got a whole extra game here.
I feel like they're not counting the games.
Kyler's only going to throw 25 touchdowns. Kyler Murray, 25 touchdowns?
The number you gave on Matt Stafford, I don't know. He's going to be at 36.
Yeah, I would
touchdowns
think so.
In that offense. No Cam Akers?
I would think so.
Higbee, all those receivers? I mean, there's no way.
I mean, Stephon Gilmore's on the PUP list. Bakhtiari's on the PUP list, and they're in the top 30, 35. Julio Jones, 1,046 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns, is 35th. 36th is Justin Jefferson, who they think is going to have 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns. Huh?
Yeah, I don't understand it. They've done this before. Gibby, what did they do this summer where they put one of these out that didn't make sense? Were they ranking teams?
I don't think it was ESPN. I feel like it was someone. There was another one of these
ESPN.
that I put up, and we were all like, wait.
What is this?
What are they judging off of?
Right.
It's like, how many different ways can we twist a list?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do this. And I know you're always ready for these things, Z, because you're a giant bee. there are a lot of fantasy drafts that will take place between now and Tuesday when we reconvene.
Yeah, I did one last night.
Yeah. Mine is Tuesday night, I think. It's Tuesday night, I think, is mine. Who do you like? Who are some guys around the league that you like from the fantasy standpoint? It's interesting when there's so much, like CeeDee Lamb is getting so much buzz about him. And a lot to like about him in that offense. I love Najee Harris. I think he's going to, not necessarily in terms of wins, but I think he's just going to get 100,000 touches.
So we got him as our
Pittsburgh.
number 2 running back last night. We had started with Dalvin was our keeper, and we were able to get Najee Harris with our first pick, which we were thrilled with.
Is this the Miz League?
Yeah, it's the awesome league. We picked last because we're the champion, 3-time champion. No big deal. No big deal.
Got to spike your own ball sometime a little bit, you know?
So, all right, just real quickly, some guys that I like.
Yeah. Who do you like? And wait, I need copious notes.
All right, go ahead. Grab a pen and we'll go.
I got copious
all right,
notes.
If you go quarterback on the early-ish side, I mean, of course people love Josh Allen, and as well you should. I think that there's good value right now, though, in Kyler, Dak, and Russell Wilson, who would be behind the Mahomes, Allen, Jackson trio. I think beyond that, Stafford's a good value. I think Jalen Hurts is a good value. I think Herbert is a good value. I think Trevor Lawrence late is going to put up numbers because they just have to throw it all over the yard.
Could
and
Winston
I think
have
Justin Fields could run quite a bit too.
Is he draftable late?
Who? Baker?
Jameis.
Oh, Jameis? Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of Jameis at all. I think he's going to be throwing it around. All right, running backs. I mean, the stars are the stars, so I'll give you like once you get out of the stars and now you're making some picks. I'll give you 2 guys who I think have unbelievable opportunity. That's Joe Mixon and Najee Harris. I'm not afraid of Clyde Edwards-Helaire this year because he's falling so far because everybody who drafted him was burned by him last year that he's almost underrated.
Yeah.
I think Javonte Williams, if you can get him as your 3rd running back and hold on to him, the rookie in Denver out of North Carolina, I think by the second half of the season he's going to be a monster. An absolute
He was a monster at Carolina last year. He was just a beast.
I like Mike Davis in Atlanta because there's really nobody else. So I think he's got some decent value as now we're starting to get into, we're filling out the roster and looking for guys with upside. I'm a huge DeAndre Swift guy. It's well documented on this show. I don't know how healthy he's been able to stay. Jamal Williams, whenever he plays, is very good, and they signed him this offseason. So I think Jamal Williams is a nice little value down the line as well. And then here's a name that you can probably get in the last round of every draft, Ty Johnson, who is in with the Jets. They kind of think he might be the starting running back. He's played more snaps with Zach Wilson this preseason than any other running back. And I know they drafted Javonte Williams' teammate Michael Carter, and maybe eventually he takes over. But he was a 4th-round pick. It's not like they drafted him in the first or second round.
No, correct.
So that's another one, a name from later on. Wide receiver is absolutely loaded this year. Loaded. And again, let's get outside of like the top elite 12 guys that are on most. I think Robert Woods is going to have a monster season with Stafford. I consider him a number 1 receiver. I think you can throw Cooper Kupp into that mix. Amari Cooper in Dallas, I expect to have a good year. My guy Deontay Johnson in Pittsburgh, I think, is always a good fantasy guy to target. Very productive. I think Jerry Jeudy is going to flourish with Teddy Bridgewater. I think Michael Pittman Jr. is a nice little snag in Indianapolis with T.Y. Hilton now out. T. Higgins is the guy I like in Cincinnati the best. I also think Tyler Boyd's very good. Jamar Chase I'm a little nervous of. I'll tell you, Odell is an absolute steal where he can be had in fantasy drafts right now. An absolute steal. So I'm certainly in on Odell Beckham Jr. From a rookie standpoint, a late pick, a guy that I was enamored with in the draft, and so that will carry over to this, is Elijah Moore. With the Jets, I think they're going to have to throw it quite a bit, and I think he's a guy that will be a very good value for you.
The kid can spin it there, too. Wilson can spin it down the field.
Absolutely. I think Jacoby Myers in New England is a nice bargain. And Will Fuller's going later than he should in drafts for as good of a talent as he is. He's going later because he has that 1-game suspension. Don't worry about that. Tight ends. I couldn't have been happier in my draft yesterday to get Kyle Pitts. I think Kyle Pitts is an absolute monster. I think he's going to be a star right away. I think he has a chance to be a 1,000-yard tight end as a rookie. Like, that's how good I think he is.
Well, and there's no Julio, so you got Ridley
and him.
And him.
They're the top
yeah,
two.
He's going to get a lot. And I think that team stinks. So I think they're going to be throwing it a lot.
I love T.J. Hawkinson in Detroit. Who are their receivers? They're gone. Are they going to be good? Probably not. They're going to throw it a lot. Hawkinson, I think, has a chance to be a 1,000-yard guy this year as well. I like him a lot. Once you wait on tight ends, there's a ton of guys that you have a chance to go with. Jonnu Smith in New England, Gesicki in Miami, Tyler Higbee with the Rams, Fant in Denver, Tanyan, Logan. I mean, there are a lot of them. But my goal in this year, I'm not going to pay the premium for Kelsey, Waller, or Kittle, but I'm in on the Hawkinson Pitts range. Mark Andrews too. That's the range that I'm looking to jump in on tight end.
So your strategy was to go. You go back.
Well, so it was
in a snake, depending on where you are. Do you go back, and then receivers, or do you go back receivers?
No, I would want one of each in a normal draft. So that league's a keeper league. So I came into it with Dalvin as my 2nd round pick, and then Justin Jefferson as my 10th round pick. So we wanted to get the best player there. We were thinking of Calvin Ridley. It was either going to be Calvin Ridley or we were hoping for Najee Harris. And once Harris made it, he was too much of a talent at running back. Based on we were still able to get good receivers later in the draft. But we knew we weren't probably not going to be able to get another running back like Najee Harris. And in fact, we weren't. But we ended up getting Dalvin, Najee Harris. Later on in the 4th round, got Javonte Williams, which I was very excited about. We got Russ. We got Kyle Pitts. We got Deontay Johnson, Michael Pittman. And we drafted Mike Thomas. That's a sneaky play in your drafts as well. Mike Thomas is out for the pup. He's going to miss 6 games. But now when you draft him, we got him, I think, in the 9th or 10th round. And then if it's a keeper league, him, and here's in your keeper league, another sneaky thing, later rounds in the draft, just go ahead and take J.K. Dobbins.
Right.
Because that establishes
One
his
thing
round.
I think with Thomas is only going to miss 5 games, though, right? Because I think their bye week is the 6th.
He's only missing 5 games, right, and he's eligible to return week 7. You're right. He misses 6 weeks, 5 games.
5 games on Michael Thomas. So, and it seems like he's going to be ready to go. And I think that I just have a seeking. I don't know if they're not going to be as good. I don't necessarily think, because Jameis will do some things that maybe make you scratch your head.
To his receivers.
But he can throw the ball down the field.
Yes.
So they're going to be able to do some things in New Orleans that they weren't able to do. I'll tell you what was really stunning. I just did help my oldest son with his draft, and one of the things that I was stunned by was the depth of talent at receiver. It's so deep. There's so many guys who are 1,000-yard guys. There's so many guys who can be in that mix. I'm in the 6th. I think we ended up with T. Higgins, Robert Woods. I'm trying to remember it doesn't matter. But I remember walking away going, geez, we got 3 dudes, and then we stashed Michael Thomas because we had a little bit of intel on him that it wasn't going to be as out as long as some people thought he was going to be.
Yep.
So there's a ton of talent there. I like your strategy on the tight ends as well. And the other thing, too, the same is true at quarterback. There's going to be a ton of guys throwing for a ton of yards this year. You're going to get – you don't need to burn – early stuff on these on Mahomes and Allen and these guys. I mean, there's going to be guys. Certainly, they're there for a reason, but I think Stafford's going to be a monster there. I do. I like Kyler a lot, like you do. Russ is going to have a monster year. Dak too. So I mean, there's a lot of good quarterbacks. There's almost too many good quarterbacks for the teams. Guys aren't being drafted that are going to put up big numbers.
Oh yeah,
you're a big guy on that too. Don't draft second quarterback, right?
No, if you have a stud quarterback and a stud tight end, don't draft 2. Just load up because you never know. Running backs, wide receiver, and you're looking for opportunity. I know that Carlos Hyde's down there, and I think that Herb likes him. Obviously, their connection, and he'll probably get some touches. But James Robinson is a pretty good. Just again, it's accumulation matters in fantasy football.
Yep.
It matters. The one thing that is weird this year is nobody has a real feel. But if you can, late in your draft because nobody really wants to touch them. Grab both Buffalo running backs and hope one of them becomes something. Singletary and Moss. I don't know who it's going to be, but if you get the right one there, you have a chance to. That's going to be a high-scoring offense.
You like Eckler in L.A.?
Yeah, he's going early first round. Yeah, absolutely.
I got him in the 2nd. We got him in the 2nd. We feel very happy. Got him and Harris. We're the first two picks for my oldest, so we did all right.
Wow, and you went Harris first, then Eckler, and in most, if you were doing it.
We picked back-to-back, so it didn't matter.
Gotcha.
We picked 10, 11.
End of the first round. Okay.
End of the first. Yeah, that's right. End of the first. So we picked 10, 11. So I think we picked Eckler first, and then I think it went Eckler Harris is what we did.
I think that Eckler Harris are kind of more in that elite category, and then you get to the Joe Mixon, who I think has a chance to be very good, but he's maybe a step below those two. I just think Najee Harris, I think he's going to.
They have to.
They're going to feed him the ball.
I think he's going to get like 25 touches a game.
Yeah.
It's like a lot.
Catch the ball a lot.
He's going to catch it. He's going to get all of their, goal line stuff. He's going to carry it. They're going to burn him out. I wouldn't long term, no. But for now,
sure.
Yeah, probably. Still so much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. A reminder to catch the Kevin Stefanski Show, presented by Howard Hanna, tonight at 7 on the University Hospital's Cleveland Browns radio network. Coach and Mac Wilson join us on the program, the final edition of the program until we do game week next week, my friend. So that will be quite exciting to finally get to start to zero in. Next week we got to do our picks. Obviously we'll scores, but you also got to do. We got to do our picks. We got to get picks for the division, our playoff picks, awards picks, all of the fun. We got to get that going. Yeah, we got to get that wrapped up. That's going to be fun. It's interesting. I haven't even allowed myself, other than our game, to look ahead to week one. I know the Rams and the Bears play. I know Dallas and Tampa open up on Thursday, right? I think it's Dallas.
It is a loaded week 1. The NFL wanted to put the best of the best to kick off the season, and they have.
It's good, yeah, because it's Saints and Packers in Jacksonville. Yeah, so it's pretty good. It's pretty dang good week 1. And we're 405, right? We're 405 for us on Sunday?
25.
We are America's big one. Yeah, we're the
90
for the game.
Yeah,
that'll be that. So yeah, that's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome.
Steelers
Bills game week
is 1 o'clock.
Oh gosh,
Steelers Bills.
It is loaded from top to bottom.
Boy,
what's a Sunday nighter?
Bears Rams Sunday night. Ravens at Raiders in Vegas Monday night.
Boy, you know they're thrilled about if you know you're the NBC execs. You're thrilled about Andy Dalton trotting out there for the Bears when you got Justin Fields.
That's right.
Just thrilled.
That's how they drew it up.
Every other rookie is out there playing, and Fields is going to have to sit on Sunday Night Football. That's got to be Tirico, though, right? Because Al and Chris will be. I would think they'll be in Tampa Bay for Thursday night. So that might be Tirico and Breeze on Sunday night. It might end up being that way. Breeze's debut, maybe.
30.
I don't know.
Or Collinsworth. Collinsworth could do it. He could do the Thursday, and then he could do. Yeah, and it's in L.A., so maybe Al would want to do it too. Straight off of Bel Air Country Club, right down there.
Right down the road.
All right.